Okay, sorry about that interruption. We'll go on with part two. So yes, I was talking about our strategy for cashless and the proposals and the plans we have. So what we're doing at the moment is, as I said earlier, off street we are now pretty much cashless. There's a few Strada machines which aren't, but that's something we'll be working on in the future. But the next big project is on street, and obviously that's a huge project because there's about 190 to 195 machines, and initially the significant cost that would be to replace them all. You know, we're talking figures of around about £600,000 to replace all of the machines in the city, and obviously that's economically just not possible. So what we are doing is we're going to be taking a long, hard look at the location of machines, the frequency of machines, the signage, with a view to rationalising the estate significantly. As I mentioned last time we met, Phil had done a great piece of work looking at just 10 machines, which is going to save us some money over the next few years. So I'm working on that myself. I'll be working with some disability groups and the government to look at how the sort of distances we can expect people to walk, and also looking at the technology that we can use to remove the requirement for tickets. Okay, so that's the next phase. Obviously, that will cause some concerns for people in terms of our customer base not wanting more cashless machines in the city, not having to display a ticket. It's all new. And something that we'll support the public with. And then for yourselves, there's the people who are saying, well, crikey, does that mean that we're not going to have cash collectors? Does that mean that we're going to reduce the number of CEOs, etc.? Now, I don't see any change currently. Yes, as I alluded to last time, that there will be some slight tweaks to what we do and how we do it. But there will always be a requirement for us to maintain our machines and to look after our signage, etc., across the city. So again, I don't want anybody to be anxious about what's happening. On top of that, we still have the money to about £500,000 to go and replace our current pay on foot system. And again, we're looking at how we best do that to ensure that we have the best value for money, the least user interaction. So, i.e., the removal of the requirement for people to be sat there lifting barriers, etc., and for making sure that we have the best solution possible. The good thing about change and positive change is that we're able to actually, and particularly with the change of technology, is actually deliver better services ourselves. So the sorts of things that I'm looking at is rather than paying an ongoing maintenance contract with some of our companies, is to actually train individual members to be engineers. So I've been in discussions with Torbay recently. Torbay are about to go live and potentially order a significant number of IPS machines. Well, if that's the direction that they're going, does it make sense then that they have one officer trained as an IPS engineer and we have one officer trained as an IPS engineer, and therefore we have two people who, if there's an issue in either parts, either area, that we could send to resolve the issue. So that's something that Susie, the manager in Torbay, and I will be looking at over the next few weeks. But again, this is about protecting us and making sure that we do the best that we can with what we've got. So, as I said, I will repeat 1,000,000 times if I need to make sure that people aren't anxious and concerned about their jobs and their future. Okay, so that's one way we're going to save a significant amount of money, and the first ticketless area will be Martin Street. I just need to sort some signage out, and then we'll be switching Martin Street's ticket giving off, and just seeing how that works and what the feeling is for that. Neil did some great work last week, and has almost secured a deal with Enterprise to release some spaces in one of our car parks, which should generate around about £9,000. And so if we can get that across the line with Argos and Europcar, that's £15,000 of additional income that we currently don't get. So that's an excellent piece of work. The next thing I want to talk about is something that's really close to my heart, and that is our values and how we as a team treat each other, treat our public, and what we can expect. So I am launching a new vision and values for parking service, and I'll send some details out later, but there will be 4 underlying values that we will use in all of our activities and all of our work. And the first is achieving the best. And that's about being the best, being the best that you can be as an individual. And whilst you're working, doing the best you can. That's what it's about. It's about making sure that we utilise our time effectively, that we utilise what we've got efficiently, to make sure that we get the best results. A part of that is the rollout of the CEO handbook and the enforcement policy, which will make things easier for people to enforce in a common way so that everybody has the opportunity to enforce the same way. Okay, what that does is it solidifies the government stance that CEOs actually do not have discretion when they're out on the street. Okay, that's a legal point, not a local policy point, and that actually, if there's a vehicle in contravention, you're duty bound by law to enforce against it. Okay, so the CEO policy will ensure that we all achieve the best that we can possibly be. The second is making a difference. Okay, every time we're out on the street, we can make a difference. Okay, we can make a difference to our city, to society, to individuals, and that's about taking that extra second if you notice a graffiti or fly tipping to report it. If you see somebody who's struggling, intervene. If you see a colleague that needs help, help. Okay, and I think making a difference will be key to all of us. The third one is respecting each other, okay, and other people. Okay, this is about making sure that the service we provide and the way in which we treat each other as individuals or each other as a team or residents is the same and meets a really high standard, so that we don't get bickering. We don't get rumour spreading, and what we get is a co-joined service that delivers excellence. And the fourth one is a huge one for me. It's embracing change. We all sit here and we all say, "Oh, the world's changing," and I completely get that the world is changing. And sometimes I feel that change is like a bus. Sometimes you just want it to stop and get off for a break. But to me, change is like a wave on the beach. And I'm sure I've said this before, that you can either stand on the beach and let the wave crash over you, or you can jump on the surfboard and surf the change, and keep being on top of the change. Okay, that is the way in which we become more successful. That's the way in which you feel that you're having a positive impact on the change, and actually getting the questions asked at the right time when change is coming about, and we don't understand the reasons why. Okay, so those are the four values: achieving the best, make a difference, respecting each other, and embracing change. And there will be a core theme across messages that I deliver in the future, and I will be holding sessions with individuals and groups to make sure that each of those values are underpinned. You may say it's just another way of badging up what we do, and you're right, it is a way of badging up what we do, but it's a way of making a statement, it's a way in which we can set the standards, it's a way in which we can performance manage, it's a way in which we can train, it's a way in which we develop, it's a way in which we can improve, it's a way in which we can reward, and I think that's really key. Okay, and I think that's how, as a service, we can develop into the next level service, and the service that I see as being. Okay. We are known across the city for the work that we put in to support other people, okay, and that work is really key and crucial, okay. However, what it doesn't take away is our core work from parking, and I will be moving us away from that supportive role for other departments over the forthcoming 12 months to make sure that we focus on our core aspects of our job, which is parking enforcement. Okay. We will be still continuing to look to develop people. One of the things that I'll be looking at is restorative justice and restorative justice practitioners to volunteers. And this is an opportunity for somebody who feels that they have something they can do with the community, is good at communicating, and works alongside people who have committed a crime to get them to make reparations to the victim. So, for example, what I've done in parking recently is where we've had two young ladies arrested for graffiti and one with throwing paint around. I've met with them and their parents and the police and explained to them the issues that causes in terms of finance, and they've tried to justify to me and their parents why they felt that it was sensible to be throwing paint around. So it's a way in which we can try and get people back onto the straight and narrow without lengthy court cases and long-term criminal records. So I'm undertaking some training next Friday. This Friday, the 3rd of July, and I will certainly feedback about my thoughts and whether there's opportunities for people to volunteer. There are a couple of sensitive subjects that we need to discuss. The first is overtime. Unfortunately, due to the current budget situation, we just don't have any money to pay for overtime this year. Okay, that may change, and I know that there are a number of you who rely on overtime to pay for Christmas presents or holidays, and I'm sorry that at the moment it's just something that I just don't have the money to undertake. If the budgets are changed and things improve, then certainly I will review that position. But unless it is a dire emergency from your supervisor, then unfortunately there's no overtime. Toil is something that's very similar at the moment. That's, as you're aware, we're nearly 3 months into the financial year, coming up to 4 months, and looking at the situation with leave, there are a large number of people with a large amount of annual leave, and that is completely understandable. We know that the reasons why, because of COVID, people have had holidays cancelled, people who have worked additional days, times, etc. to support me and the delivery of the service. So what I would say at the moment is that we need to reduce the amount of toil. Okay, so I will be saying to supervisors over the next couple of days that let's pull back from allowing people to work toil and actually encouraging people to start taking some leave. Okay, we can't be in the position whereby we wait until the world is open for us to start taking leave. We need to be thinking about the long term, thinking about how we manage our attendance from September onwards. So I'll say to all of you that by the autumn you should have been looking to take a couple of weeks of leave. Okay, so speak to your supervisor and make sure that gets booked in. Okay, you are only allowed to carry forward 8 days. Okay, there will be 2 lots of 4. Okay, so that will be 4 for next year and 4 for the following year. You can't carry any further or any addition over from that. If there are issues, then again they need to come to me via your supervisor. Okay, so you should be looking that if you have 30 days leave as a standard 7.4 day, you should be looking at having a maximum of 10 days or 8 for yourself left over at the end of April. So please make sure that you book in. We will be keeping to the council standards, which is 20% of a team off at any one time. Okay, so most of the teams are around about 10, so that's 2 or 3 people off maximum, because we still have to deliver the service. But so I implore you to really think about leave and start booking some leave. I've just booked a few long weekends and 2 weeks off in September. So, I need everybody to be thinking along the same lines, supervisors and enforcement officers. That's really all I want to cover today. Okay, I know it's been a real strange 3 months, probably the strangest time that I've known in my working history, and looking at these lovely grey hairs that I have, that's been quite a significant amount of time. And I've never known a time like it where society has changed significantly. All I would say is that we are best positioned in terms of an attitude, a culture, to be able to face up to what the new normal will be than we've ever been before. I have expressed my pride at being the operational parking manager for the city. Yes, it is stressful. I'm not going to hide behind the fact that I find things difficult at times. Yes, I find that there is an awful lot of work. But I think that we are well positioned now to move ourselves forward and to start to get everybody to the stage whereby we face the future together. Okay. I hope that these 2 videos have given you just a flavour of where we are. I am really trying to find a way in which I can communicate all with you, and I would suggest that you've all got my email address, so just drop me an email as to let me know whether you have access to Zoom or Microsoft Teams, because that's a real key way in which we can communicate, and you can actually ask me questions rather than me just speaking at you, as it does seem at the moment. So on that note, thank you ever so much for listening. Speak to your supervisors about any concerns about health, safety, welfare, risk, PPE, those types of things. And if you do need anything, by all means, speak to your supervisor. But feel free to drop me an email. Okay. I hope you take care, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.